Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and also Chair Bilirakis for hosting this hearing. Manufacturing, as we know, has been hit hard by the global supply chain constraints over the last few years, with record high inflation and supply chain disruptions impacting numerous sectors of our economy. As global competition has increased, control over our supply chains has fallen into the hands of our foreign adversaries, namely the Chinese Communist Party. Such geographic concentration of supply chains has left many U.S. companies vulnerable to disruption. And it's essential now more than ever for the U.S. to strengthen our domestic supply chain resiliency, especially in infrastructure areas including critical manufacturing, U.S. defense industrial base, energy, food, and agriculture. That's why I'm pleased this legislative hearing includes my bill, the Critical Infrastructure Manufacturing Feasibility Act, which directs the Secretary of Commerce to conduct a study on the feasibility of manufacturing more critical infrastructure goods in the United States, in particular manufacturing products which many are developed in rural communities such as in Iowa and in my district. Mr. Griswold, what steps need to be taken, and you may have answered this, to increase domestic manufacturing of critical infrastructure products? And secondly, what biggest impediments, and we've heard a bit about permitting, to enhancing these sectors, specifically in the renewable energy sectors and critical mineral processing?
If I can be forgiven for organizational self-promotion, we recently released a book of policy ideas titled Rebuilding American Capitalism, a handbook for conservative policymakers, which I would love to discuss with you in your office, that has a whole suite of policy ideas to address exactly what you're talking about. Both carrots and sticks are important. And again, that's a long conversation, but on the sticks side, I think tariffs and guardrails have their place. Domestic content requirements may have their place. Adequate financing for critical industries have their place. Helping pre-competitive research collaboration between innovative companies is an important step. There's a whole range of important policy conversations I think we should have on how to rebuild our domestic productive capacity.
And other than permitting, greatest impediments?
I think, to be frank, I think the greatest impediment is the outdated mindset that thankfully is, I think, changing in Washington, that market efficiency is the primary measure by which we should determine economic policy. And we had this discussion briefly with one of your colleagues. Clearly, national security, national economic resilience, the common good and the well-being of American working people and their ability to support their families are I think, considerations that have not always had their due in the last few decades of American policymaking and need to. To the extent to which that mindset changes, I think good policy follows.
I might add inertia to that list.
Indeed, yes.
But, thank you so much, and Mr. Chair, I yield back.